Dollar. Dirt and money, no soul. Had to go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack and flip for my foes. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money long, get my team strong. Let me run away from my problems.
Yup, what's good, original crew, man? We're back.
What was that? Ooh.
What was that?
Sorry, I know they heard something.
I know they heard that.
My tummy rumbling.
Today's video, oh man, we just dropped this. I don't know what it is. We got Jay Wisdom. He said I was wrong about David. Hold on now. What you mean you was wrong?
Maybe he found some new. He went deep diving some more, and I don't know. We'll see.
Hey, make sure y'all check out the links in the description box.
Down below.
You already know where to go. If you want the first part, you got to do it. Check out down below. Also, if you enjoyed today's video.
Like it in with a thumbs up.
You good, cuz?
Yeah. Don't call me that. Yeah. Cuz.
You don't like that?
No.
You'll be all right.
Following the release of my psychological analysis on David, there's been a certain opinion I made that's had some pushback from viewers. I stated, I don't believe David sought out Celeste in a predatory form, looking for a minor because that's what attracted him. The fact he was only 16 at the time and was being homeschooled makes it completely plausible that the relationship began as some kind of intense online companionship where he was just happy to talk to someone, with age not being one of his concerns. I believe they started off as friends who confided in each other, made jokes, and wasn't started off in any inappropriate nature.
Now, I will say, this was, I seen a couple of people in the comments on the last video did speak on that as well. I spoke on that as well. I think you was more leaning towards with him.
No.
Pertaining to that, because I said I do believe he was into.
I wasn't leaning one way or the other. I feel like we've had conversation even before we did this video. Mm-hmm. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
No.
You can correct me if I'm wrong. But I felt like I've always been in a sense of, I feel like everything is strategic when it comes to certain people. And I feel like things do be intentional when it comes to certain people. I feel like looking at it, people like, maybe not because this, that, and the third. And you try to like make all these different excuses or point out all these other like factors. And I'm like, but that's, yeah, cool, whatever. But this could still be true at the same time. So I always felt like it was kind of like intentional and sought out, me personally. But if that's your opinion and you feel like it wasn't, then that's your opinion. I'm not going to disagree with you because we all, But yeah.
No, I wasn't necessarily saying he was wrong or anything because that's his analysis that he came up with. And not everybody is 100% privy to all information because we don't have all the information. We just have enough information to formulate our opinion. But I think sometimes if you receiving more information, your mindset might change.
Yeah.
And I had to inform you of other things that I think you didn't know pertaining to him with other young people.
I did know. I just didn't know. It's the thing of I hear it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? But it's who I'm hearing it from. And I'm like, okay,
it's that factual.
Show me where this information came from. And that's
I got photos.
Yeah,
no, I'm saying that was released.
Yeah. And I'll just be like, show me. And then I'm like, okay, cool. Like, okay. I'm never like, this, you know what I'm saying? I'm just like, okay, just show me where you got that from. I like to fact check stuff. Yeah. Just show me where you got it from. And then let me go from there.
And I did see, I think it was someone posted in the comments and they was like, no, they 100% believe he was into.
Yeah.
Because due to the fact that the material that they found on his device.
Right.
Which makes it understandably that he literally does see. And somebody did break it down, and that's breaking down as well. And another aspect of it is what I think as well as similar to how when we had those conversations, how people go into jail, that it's like they go in at, if somebody go in at 19, they get out at 39, they're still going to have the mindset of a 19-year-old in society because that's where they left out of society. And somebody said even with him, he left out of society at the age 12, 13. Even at 18, being now this famous celebrity, he still has the mindset amongst society because honestly, his homeschool was like jail or prison for him. He's cut off from society. He didn't interact with other people besides online. He really doesn't know what's really going on because he doesn't have that outward capability to interact with others.
Yeah.
So his maturing stopped,
Mm-hmm.
especially amongst his peers. So his mindset kind of stopped there too. And I don't think none of us want to 100% blame the parents in that sort, but they do hold hand in hand a little bit responsibility of allowing your child to mature.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Now, looking back on it, I did all the research and analysis to come to this conclusion, but then didn't really go into enough depth to explain why. I kind of just made it seem like a casual observation and opinion, and rightly so, people contested it.
This is where I'm gonna have to disagree with this dude, man. When I was 16, I am not gonna wanna hang around no 11-year-old.
Nope.
No.
So what I want to do in this video is explore the two sides in a lot more depth, because I
will say this, going off of Gideon, I was the same way. Even like when I was in high school, like my little cousin, I was a senior, and my little cousin, she was a freshman, and she used to run up to us, because she knew some of my other friends that I hung with too, because some of them were like family on her other side, so she knew them too. But we didn't interact with her because we was like, hey, we 18, you know what I'm saying? We grown, like we in high school, but we grown. You're a freshman. Get your ass over there. You know what I'm saying? Like, you too young. I ain't with us. Even though it's only a 4-year difference in age, it was like, we ain't on the same mindset level. Even like I was senior and sophomores, I still want 100% kicking with them. I might kick it with a couple juniors, but a lot of times I try to either hang with people a little bit above me or, you know, I never like hanging with people too far younger than me, because I was like, what would we really have in common?
I guess, yeah. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Think about how when you was a senior, I mean, you was a freshman, your brother was a senior. I'm sure your brother did you the same way, even though
he didn't.
Come on, bro. Come on.
I mean, that's my brother though. That's different.
It's slightly different, but he still slightly did it, but he didn't do it to that degree because you were his sister.
He didn't. I never felt that from him. But
he ain't gonna let you feel it.
Well,
but he still gonna do it.
He never did. Like I don't know. He just didn't do that. Like I don't know. Like yes, but also I wasn't trying to be like, oh my gosh, I want to be with my brother. I wasn't also like I got
It was kind of cringe seeing my little sister. I mean, not my little sister, but my little cousin. You know which one I'm talking about. Yeah. It was kind of cringe when she would come around and be like, yo, this
but that's you. You already be like,
no, but
extra.
It's just. I'm a senior, she a freshman. I'm like, you a little.
Let's get back into the video. But I gave my brother his space, and that was that. I gave my brother his space, and he just made sure I was cool.
That's how I did with her, though. I was like, if you run into
his friends, which I looked at them also, like, you know, because these people I grew up, not when they watched me grow up, you know, whatever. I looked at them like, you know, whatever, because these are my brother friends and stuff like that.
Like, she ever needed help,
they made sure I was straight and stuff like that. Yeah. Like, but no, I gave my brother space.
Nah, you ain't finna.
I wasn't trying to hang with my brother though.
So what I want to do in this video is explore the two sides in a lot more depth, because I really undersold the importance of this segment. Because if David just happened to stumble upon Celeste, saw her as a friend in his lonely world, and slowly graduated to a relationship, then that makes him seem more complex, and someone who went down a downward spiral into a predator. But if David sought out Celeste with the purpose of finding a minor specifically because that's what attracted him, then that makes him even darker than I first portrayed. Because if Celeste's age was the reason he killed her, and Celeste's age was also the reason he was attracted to her, then technically, this was a murder he'd set up for himself years in advance, which would then make the connection to his lyrics even more daunting.
So he said, if Celeste's age was the reason, and
let me kind of like renege on something that I said, because I feel like so many things are like when this is so complex, because there's just so many things and factors and stuff like that you can look at and go back. Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't use the word sought out, because that I'm not like privy to actually like really knowing if that's true.
You talking about him?
I said this earlier.
Okay.
Yeah, but he just said it though. Yeah. If he did sought out, you know, but maybe I shouldn't have used it like that, because I'm not sure if that was the fact, you know, if there was like he actually sought out, you know, Celeste because she was under, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know,
Based
or
off
was
her
it a
age.
thing that they had to, build a friendship and then turned into a relationship or something like that, and then it's just kind of like,
Let me ask you this. Let me ask everyone this. Could it
maybe I'm
be
confused.
because he was online and he possibly became socially awkward amongst his age group? And so with playing the video games and everything online, he did like the enjoyment of younger people in these games. And then they end up developing a bond through the game, and began to catch feelings for her. I don't think he saw like her. That's the part that
You know
kind of.
something? Because I'm going back and forth. My bad.
No, I'm saying
I'm
that.
going.
No, I'm not saying because I'm like
I'm going back
I'm
and
too
forth
deep
in my
thought.
own head because for me, I'm like, it can still be sought out because you could have like
But to
never
kill her, I don't think so.
Well, we're not there yet. We're not talking about that right now, per se.
Well,
Well, we
it
are,
was
but I'm
introduced.
saying, it was introduced. We are, but we gotta first, like, where did it start? Like, really get to, like, figure that out. Was it something that just kind of, like, happened?
That's
or was
even
it
dark.
something...
If that,
I'm going to stick with what I said earlier. I do feel like it's more of, sought out, but it's like kind of like, did you intentionally do it? Or, see, I'm confused. I be a little conflicted with myself sometimes in my thoughts.
And
Because I
often-
be going like, this side be like, and it be pulling me. And I be
And
like,
want me to say this? The reason why it's so like hard for us to really ponder it and we're trying to draw like come to an understanding, because I think everybody is the biggest thing is trying to understand. But with someone who has such a twisted mindset and twisted thought process, we can never understand their mindset because we don't. It's not the average thought process.
let's get into the video and see, and then I'll see if I still think what I think, or if
And I don't think we will ever come to an understanding just because he's had such a twisted mind.
Yeah.
Set up for himself years in advance, which would then make the connection to his lyrics even more daunting. I wish I didn't have to say this, but I might have been wrong about David. So before I cover both sides, let's quickly go over the alleged timeline again for clarity. In January 2022, a 16-year-old David makes first contact with 11-year-old Celeste, most likely through Fortnite. Throughout 2022 and most of 2023, the relationship remains online and there's no evidence of physical contact during this period. David blew up with music around this time, so he was getting a little fame and a good amount of money at this point. Now, something I didn't include in the main video were the reported other victims, mainly because I was focusing more on confirmed and reliable evidence. But during this timeline, there are messages that appear to be from June 2023, where David would have been 18, and he seems to be sending a breakup message to a girl who's 16 at the time.
Whoa, I never came up. It's so small. It said, hola. Okay, so I've been up all night thinking logically about your work, life, relationships, and realize something that you'd agree with if you see it the way I do, straight from my heart. I really, really, really love you, but I have been checking my schedule for the rest of this year and next year, and I'm barely in Texas. I believe long distance relationship work under the right conditions, like you being able to travel with me, etc. But he said he's bringing up Texas though, and she was from all right. But you're still in school. With that also being said, I don't like hiding anything from anyone. I would love to have a public relationship with someone, but the way this is going is we have to be a secret or something. I want you to be happy, but you still have so much love to do in these last 2 years of high school. And it,
well, we're not. Yeah, we.
no. I was trying to, because this is somebody else.
He said somebody else. He didn't say. Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. So
He just said another, and then he said her age.
Get into this in more detail after, but if this is true, then David did seem to have another relationship prior to meeting Celeste in person. 5 months after this, in November 2023, is when the prosecution alleges a sexual relationship between David and Celeste started. February 2024 is when Celeste was reported missing and law enforcement actually contacted David to inform him she's a 13-year-old runaway, to which he denied knowledge of her age and her whereabouts.
And that's why I think I'm going to stick with what I think, that it is more sought out, because I feel like if I go out and I'm seeking.
I was saying sought out to kill her. That's why I was.
Yeah, well, that's not what I'm saying. Sought out to even have a relationship. Period.
Based off the age.
Yeah, it's based off of the age.
Into.
Like that's what I mean. Sought out in that manner, and I do believe that he does seek out girls younger than him.
Yeah.
He would then drive to her hometown, Lake Elsinore, and pay a classmate $1,000 to provide Celeste with a new phone. Another thing I didn't include because he's not always reliable is private investigator Steve Fisher's claims that he'd been in contact with another minor who he alleges had an illegal relationship with David at some point whilst David was still with Celeste. He claims he has photo evidence, but this has not yet been published, the age is unknown, and the victim hasn't come forward, so I just treated it as unverified context. And then on April 23rd, 2025 is when the prosecution alleges David murdered Celeste. First, I'm going to go over position A, which is my original position, that in January 2022, David wasn't hunting for a minor, but their online companionship escalated into sexual grooming as his psychology got darker and the power dynamic developed. David's social development was severely disrupted by 5 years of isolated homeschooling beginning at approximately age 13. During this period, his primary peer interaction occurred through Fortnite squad fields, an anonymous age-mixing gaming environment where age is not socially visible in the way it would be in a classroom or community setting. He's described absorbing other people's problems through these platforms as the primary way he came to understand human psychology.
Like with Fortnite, I remember I found so many cool people just from that game I would have never met like in real life. So the ability to meet new people and see like how other people think, but it's like I'm taking this information and all these different people talking to me about different like problems and situations. I'm like, wow, this is really what humans are like. Like, these are humans.
If an adolescent is developed this way,
and the way he said like that is just
where they're isolated from age-appropriate peer contact and using anonymous online platforms as a social substitute, research shows that they form connections that don't follow the age logic of a typical adolescent who was able to socialize properly or at least be in social environments. A 16-year-old who had no meaningful peer relationships for 3 years would be operating with a fundamentally different social framework than a normally developed 16-year-old. In anonymous online gaming environments, there's no way to actually know someone's age. Assuming they met on Fortnite, all he'd been able to judge it off was by hearing her voice. It's not always going to be easy to make an age judgment that way. I do obviously agree that upon finding out her real age, there's no excuse to be made for staying in contact with her. But from David's own claims, he was talking to many people through Fortnite and the contact just seemed to be formed around emotional openness.
But you got to also take into consideration the conversation that they would have had around that time, right? Yeah, based off voice, he can't tell. But we also know some of the first questions we ask when we are that age. We are in schools, like, hey, what kind of classes you take? Or what grade you in? Like, we have those conversations with talking to other people when we're that age. We might ask.
Like what questions you used to ask, like?
So 9 times out of 10, he knew she was young.
Like we asked, like, how old are you?
Yes.
When your birthday?
Yeah.
What grade you in?
Nowadays, what zodiac sign you are?
Like, even back then, like when we wasn't on it like that. But you kind of we wasn't on it like that. Yeah. But you just kind of like, you know, oh, okay, whatever. But
because we came up in the MySpace age, so you did meet people, come across people on the internet. You know what I'm saying? So. But you would ask, like, hey, what age are you?
Like, a lot of people I met, like, back in the day, I ain't gonna say a lot, a handful of people. I did meet them, like, either from the internet or, like, maybe, or just through other people, or from the internet and stuff like that. But still, those are questions. Yeah, you want to, like, know, see what you got in common and things of that nature.
So he would have, even just over Fortnite, he would have came across and asked her, like, pertaining to her age or grade or something to indicate her age range.
Yeah.
So if true, then it doesn't seem he was seeking out a minor specifically, but was looking for any social interaction he could get. And by the sounds of it, Celeste was happy to continue talking. Clinical literature on grooming doesn't require the initial contact to be one of predatory intent. Research by Craven, Brown, and Gilchrist identifies grooming as a process that frequently begins with genuine connection, particularly when the perpetrator has genuine emotional needs that the relationship initially meets and escalates over time as opportunity and power dynamic develop. Under this framework, David and Celeste's initial friendship may have been authentic, even whilst the later exploitation was clearly harmful. These are not mutually exclusive states. But now I'm going to move on to position B, the counter-argument that David's attraction and pursuit of minors reflects a deliberate sexual orientation rather than incidental opportunity. that he was socially aware enough to understand the significance of age as a category, and that the pattern of behavior across multiple alleged minors is more consistent with a targeted selection than a developmental confusion. The text messages I mentioned earlier, shared by an apparent 16-year-old girl, is the most significant evidence that changes my opinion. But now you see my issue with...
You know what? If these texts is supposed to be real, right? This also shows that he's consciously aware of the ramification of the age range. Because he's 18, he said, "Hey, you got 2 more years of high school. We got to keep this a secret. This not even supposed." And this is before he even hooked
Like, I
up with
want to go
Celeste.
public. I want to have this.
But due
whatever.
to your age and you still being in high school, we can't go public with this. So he already understands the ramifications of this, right? So he already know I have to keep this a secret. This can't be exposed. This can't be out there. I will love a public relationship with you, but I can't due to your age. And this is before hooking up with Celeste. So he can't even go into court and say, "Hey," or they can't even use that as an excuse that, hey, his brain is not wired or developed to understand that. Because, they try to use that sometimes as their defense. But that's already thrown out the window.
16-year-old girl is the most significant evidence that changes my opinion. But now you see my issue with the original video. I can only make an analysis using credible evidence that I deem worthy of including in the video. I can't say I have this opinion based on other evidence, but I'm not including that evidence. Because if I had used these messages in the original video, the easiest defense people would use is messages can be faked. If the prosecution were the ones to present those messages, then they're able to connect them to David's phone specifically and have it 100% proven. These screenshots, however, come from a guy on Twitter saying the victim sent them to him and wishes to remain anonymous. As someone who prides himself in being clinically accurate and sticking with provable evidence, you can see why this didn't make it. However, for this video's sake, I think it changes the verdict and provides a lot more context, so it's at least worth considering. In these messages dated June 14th, 2023, David explicitly references the girl as still in school, with 2 years of high school left. He identifies the age gap as a stated reason why the relationship can't be publicly acknowledged, saying, "I'm barely in Texas. I believe long distance relationships work under the right conditions, like you being able to travel with me, etc. But you're still in school." With that also being said, I don't like hiding anything from anyone. I would love to have a public relationship with someone, but the way this is going, it's like we have to be a secret or something. He frames her youth as an obstacle to a legitimate relationship rather than something he was unaware of. It demonstrates that David was socially conscious enough to register age as a legally and socially relevant category. If he could identify and articulate the age-related problem of a 16-year-old girl, the argument that he was oblivious to do it for an 11 or 13-year-old girl becomes very difficult to sustain.
I'm also wondering, did he have that same conversation with Celeste, which led to her possibly running away? Because he wanted somebody to be able to travel with him, go this place. I wonder, did he have that same type of conversation with her?
That he was oblivious to do it for an 11 or 13-year-old girl becomes very difficult to sustain. Another point that is also strong was actually made by YouTuber Gideon, who reacted to my video. Regression.
There is a strong pipeline from people that watch gore videos to people that start consuming CSAM material. It is an uncanny pipeline like none other. If you are a person who is just absorbing and watching gore content, there is a strong likelihood that you will end up into CSAM material.
His argument that gore addiction can be a pipeline to consumption of prohibited sexual content is indeed supported by research. The escalation model, in which individuals who seek increasingly extreme content to maintain the same stimulation threshold progressively migrate towards more prohibited categories, is documented in the clinical literature on compulsive pornography consumption and has been applied to extreme content consumption more broadly. David's own Discord statements describe exactly this escalation dynamic in relation to gore: the initial shock response, then habituation, then laughter, and then the deliberate use of extreme content to sustain the desensitizing effect. Whether this pattern extended to sexual content involving minors can't be confirmed by the public record alone. However, the prosecution references CSAM as evidence to be presented at the preliminary hearing, described as photos depicting Celeste engaging in sexual activity from as young as 13. This confirms CSAM exists in the case, but whether it's purely in relation to Celeste, or whether he sought out other videos of other minors online, is something we do not yet know. But even then, this escalation pathway argument still doesn't prove a predatory intent at the point of initial contact in January 2022. Although he watched gore at 14, we need evidence that he consumed CSAM between then and first contact with Celeste to make a suggestion that minors became his choice of sexual orientation. It's entirely possible that he got with Celeste in a friendly nature, and at some point after initial contact, he started consuming that material and then turning those twisted fantasies onto Celeste, which would explain why he then pursued a sexual relationship. However, a single relationship with an age gap, despite it still being problematic, is categorically different from a pattern. If we are to believe those text messages, and even to believe Steve Fisher's claim that there was another minor involved in a relationship with David, then it showed he had a pattern of pursuing girls who were underage. The thing is, the relationship with the 16-year-old when David was 18 is actually legally covered by the Romeo and Juliet law. The messages showed David saying, "I'm barely in Texas, I believe long distance relationships work under the right conditions, like you being able to travel with me, etc." So this suggests that the girl was from his hometown in Texas, whilst at the time he was traveling around the country for performances and meetings or whatever. Texas does indeed enact the Romeo and Juliet laws, which allow sexual relationships between teenagers to continue without it being illegal. The criteria include they are no more than 3 years older than their sexual partner, their sexual partner was at least 14 years old, the sexual relationship was consensual between both persons, and they were not already a registered sex offender at the time of the relationship.
So in Texas, the age of consent is 17 years. 17 years old, so the consent law, that is 17.
So this tells me he's already aware of the laws or have looked into it.
Because one had a birthday and crossed into the adult sphere of law. That's why some states, including Texas, created Romeo and Juliet.
Because about him turning 18 now. It said June, right?
June.
He had turned 18 in March. So April, May, June. So he like, hey, this kind of...
They are no more than 3 years older than a partner. And if she would have been, so it would just been 2 years.
So technically, if he still was in Texas, I think he still would have continued. But the fact that he was getting ready to move around and move to California probably laws don't match.
I didn't even know they had.
I have heard of this, but
I've heard of it before. I didn't know.
But I don't look into stuff.
Yeah,
like
I don't
this
look into stuff like this. But
I'm not a lawyer or have interest into it, so
yeah.
So first of all, we don't even have proof from these messages of any physical intimacy anyway, like we do with Celeste. That would just be an educated assumption. But then, even if true, these laws would have protected him. But the problem with these messages that I do have is his clear awareness of the relationship needing to be a secret. Now, the relationship would need to be a secret for two likely reasons. One would be either party or both of them wanting privacy, or two, because David knew that being an adult with a high school girlfriend would be perceived as weird. He hid Celeste as much as he could as well, showing a pattern of understanding the inappropriate age gap but pursuing it anyway. This makes any argument that David's social isolation made him unable to understand age gaps significantly weaker, because if at 18 he could understand a relationship with a 16-year-old would look bad, he obviously understood a 13-year-old would be even worse. But yet, he still pursued Celeste and broke up with this other girl. And I mean, when you look at David in other domains, the fact he built a semi-successful gaming YouTube channel that made good money before music, the fact he was able to build such a big social media presence with tons of fans, the fact he was able to negotiate with big record labels, and the fact he was able to construct a multi-layered fantasy showed that David is far from lacking social awareness and social perception. Yes, he was homeschooled, but he still understood how society worked. He still understood that being in a relationship with Celeste was not just wrong, but illegal. So, looking at both sides, where do I lie now in terms of my conclusion? David wasn't operating from a state of age blindness. I do believe Celeste told him her age and he just rolled with it, because it wasn't like anyone would find out he was friends with an 11-year-old online. He understood it was wrong, as those later messages suggest, but as long as no one knew, he was fine to continue. I have to make that clear in case anyone misunderstood my previous analysis as me saying he became friends with Celeste thinking it was okay and perfectly fine. He knew it was wrong, but he was lonely and homeschooled, so he took what he could get. If no one his own age wanted to be friends with him, maybe due to him being emotionally stunted and coming across as corny, Celeste giving him attention would have outweighed the risk of him being caught talking to her. I still think the hardest part to assess is whether David was this predator, consuming CSAM and having sexual fantasies of minors prior to his initial contact with Celeste, or whether that developed after they'd already began speaking, to which he then acted on when she turned 13. There's no evidence that's yet been documented of David showing other paedophilic behavior in those 22 months between meeting Celeste online and having with her. That distinction matters clinically, and it's one that the available evidence can't definitively settle until we get more evidence from the courts and the eventual trial. My honest intellectual position, incorporating the full evidence, including those messages and the claims that there were other minors, is that the original framing was partially correct, that the initial connection may have been genuine, but I overstated the degree to which David was operating without the awareness of what he was doing. He knew. The evidence shows he knew, but what allowed him to proceed is where there's still room for us to debate this. Because in the original analysis, I stated that due to him wanting control, getting with someone younger made it easier to have a controllable victim. It made sense to me because he'd been controlled by his own parents and had developed narcissistic traits. So control was something he craved, and he likely wouldn't have been able to control someone who was of age and headstrong. So he preferred to go for girls younger and mentally weaker. But other people seem to feel like it was pure sexual attraction to underage girls rather than that control aspect. But that's where the presence of him being 18 in a relationship with a 16-year-old during the same period complicates the picture. It suggests his attraction was not exclusively limited to young teenagers like Celeste, but may have been more broadly oriented towards younger, less powerful partners. Minors from unstable home environments, accessible through online platforms, financially dependent on him, and socially isolated by the relationship. They represent the controllability profile rather than the specific age-based attraction. That doesn't make the offending less serious, it just changes how you look at his psychology. The initial connection may have been genuine, but the escalation was not accidental. David understood what he was doing at each stage and chose to continue, managing the concealment that his own awareness of the problem required. Whether that constitutes a predatory orientation towards minors specifically, or a control-oriented pattern that targeted vulnerable young people irrespective of age, is a distinction the available evidence can't fully resolve. And acknowledging that distinction honestly is more intellectually rigorous than collapsing it in either direction. That's the honest answer. And honest answers, even when they complicate your own prior position, are what distinguish serious analysis from content that simply confirms what the audience already wants to believe. I hope that cleared up any confusion, as after seeing so many people leaving comments about that point, I wanted to make it more understandable to everyone. And as you can see, without including those text messages, it does make a significant change to the analysis. At the end of all this, whatever side you land on, there was still a young girl who was preyed upon at some stage by a guy she thought was a friend, was manipulated, groomed, and then killed when she tried to do the right thing. And the whole time, he knew exactly what he was doing. So once more, rest in peace, Celeste Rivas Hernandez. If you would like to see the other evidence that I didn't include in the original video because they were too hard to verify or use clinically, I went through those already on my Patreon. So the link to that is in the description if you want to check that out.
Cause that also sums up due to the fact that because he knew what he was doing was wrong, and so when she found out, when she said, "Hey, I'm gonna tell," he knew panic mode. I gotta get rid, because he was able to get rid of the other one by just talking her away from it.
And one key factor, if you want to go with agree with what he said, which I do with the control thing, that moment. In his head, I lost control. Mm-hmm. He lost control. Like, you know what I'm saying?
And I gotta get rid of her. And also now him breaking that down, because I was like, so when did they possibly meet, him and Celeste, like in person, right? Mm-hmm. They had already been talking and stuff all this time on the internet, which probably started happening over text, right? Mm-hmm. And they probably met before January 2022. That's as far as what they can identify. Probably as far as them texting.
Was it okay?
He probably ended up moving to Cali and finding out that knowing that she was in Cali too, and that's the reason why it's late 2023 they started. Mm-hmm. That's when the hookup happened, because now I can bring you to me because I'm closer. Mm-hmm. While he was out living in Texas, he was in communication with her. Probably had talking. We're chopping it up. We're building this bond. Mm-hmm. We're getting to know each other, which over text, getting to know each other, talking and chit-chatting like that, without actually spending time together, people get their emotions super, super caught up, right? And so they started, it's like living in this fantasy world. We all been young. We understand. Yeah. You think this person that you meet when you were 12, 13, y'all talking back and forth so much, you think this person's going to be the person you marry. Because words hold so much emotion when you just talking on the phone and chit-chatting through a text message. But when y'all start actually meeting each other, spend more physical time, I mean like not actual physical contact, but just in each other's space.
Yeah.
You probably be like, I don't really like this person, or I ain't as attracted to this person as I thought I was.
Yeah.
Or they're starting to do certain things that you like, hey, I really don't like that, because you can tell me anything over the text or over the phone, but you really gotta tell me you when we're in person, right? And so when we spend the time together, because in 2024, basically a year later, they broke up. First physical contact was in November. They broke up a year later in November. So I wonder what was her pattern. Like, when was the first time she ran away? Because that would give me also indication of when he possibly came around, as far as being in California.
Mm-hmm.
So now I think it kind of helps us better with the timeline too.
Yeah.
When we get stuff like that broken down, and it can not help us understand, but give us a better outlook of how everything crazy happened.
Everything transpired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you think he's, because the only thing with me, I was like, only thing I necessarily disagree was I don't think he technically sought out to, because of her age, or in the mindset, I'm gonna set out to kill this young person.
I think you stuck on that. And
No, I'm not stuck on it. I'm just saying that's what I didn't. I'm not stuck on it because I don't agree with that part. So I don't agree and I moved on. Mm-hmm. But nah, I'm not stuck on that part.
Yeah. So are you asking me? Do I still believe what?
I was just asking so you're going back to standing on what you said in the beginning. Because I think last video, it was more of the factor that could he talk to someone possibly older than him, but just from a weak background, come from poverty or whatever. I forgot the proper analysis he gave, but it was like he could even see somebody that's older than him and still be. And I was like, I think he always has some type of attraction to people a lot younger than him that he can control and manipulate. And
for me it's just kind of like I can't necessarily say, like, as far as like older, because everyone else that we've known or that has been like brought to our attention has all been like younger.
Yeah.
Like actually like.
I'm saying if he didn't get caught, say for instance he didn't get caught, 5 years down the line, would you still see him in a behavior of?
I can't say.
He'll be 25 at the time. Say, for instance, could you see him with a 22-year-old? I still can't see him with...
I can't say, because all I can go off is what you showed me, which you like younger girls. Girls that's younger than you. So, even if that's the case, the girls will still be younger than him. So, are you saying someone that's under?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Possibly.
Under the threshold, I'd say.
Possibly. I mean, I can only go off of what you showed me. Yeah. That's with anything. Yeah. And if you only show me that you like, younger people, then that's all I can go off of. And yes, so to answer your question,
and that honestly probably would have got worse.
Now, if you show me something else, like, well, hey, it's this person and this person is this. Okay, that's one person. Thanks. But like for the majority, everyone is like younger to you. Yeah. Even if it's 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, they're still younger to you. Yeah. But yeah.
Because even the other Celeste that was around, I don't necessarily think she was around as far as on that level. I thought she was just, like, from seeing now more clips of her around him, I think she was just another one of the entourage friends.
Yes, that's what I'm starting to think.
Yeah.
But it was trying to be more portrayed of, oh, this is someone but it just seemed like this was just another friend that was amongst the group.
Yeah, I think she was just,
Yeah, but I don't know.
Unless more information come out, we're wrong. I'm cool, but from my analysis of seeing it now, that's what
I'm okay with it. Yeah.
But y'all spam us up. Y'all let us know y'all thoughts about it for us in the comments down below, man. But until next time, y'all know how it go, man. I do go by the name DJ No Kid Assist.
Sierra Nicole.
We are.
Kid and
we out.
No time to kick it, got a stack of flip for my folks. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and on the